Hello, my name is Ryan or MandRproductions, and today I'll be reviewing the LEGO Star Wars 8099 MIDI-SCALE Imperial Star Destroyer. This really cool set was released in summer of 2010 for $40 and had 423 pieces. There were no minifigures included. This was part of a two-set line called the MIDI-SCALE line, and unfortunately the MIDI-SCALE line only lasted 2 years, and there were only ever two sets, being the Millennium Falcon and this here, the Imperial Star Destroyer. I wish LEGO had continued this MIDI-SCALE line, because what it essentially is mini UCS sets, and that's the best way to look at it, is that these are small but detailed models that aren't for minifigs but for display, and I think this looks really cool for that. I think that's the point of these, and I wish they had kept the MIDI-SCALE line around instead of just the two sets. Maybe they'll bring it back in the future, but I don't have high hopes. For those of you wondering, here is a minifigure, just so you know that the size of this thing is actually kind of big. I mean, it's not huge, it's not UCS size, but for $40 it's a pretty nice size build. And getting into this here, you're going to see that they use a lot of good techniques. Now, I'm not going to open it up and show you the inside, but it does use a pretty neat building technique inside of there to get all the panels on, and I really do enjoy this. I've built it a few times because sometimes I break it or drop tests, and the first time I built it, obviously, so I've seen the insides quite a few times, and it's a really nice technique they use. Now, starting out here, we have some turrets on the sides, which you can rotate on top of these studs here. They're basically binocular pieces, but they look pretty good. I think they use these pieces correctly there. And then on top of the panels, they've just got some extra parts on here, tiles and plates, to give it a little bit of added detail, which I think looks pretty good on both sides. Looking down the center here, you'll find the one major flaw with this set is that you can kind of see right down the center. Unfortunately, it's a little bit wide of a gap, but when you look at it from the side, you never notice it. I mean, it looks really nice from the side. You can, you can always push up the plates here, and it looks a little bit better. So, but either way, it does have kind of a big gap there, which is a little bit unfortunate because I do like the look of it from the front, the Star Destroyers, but unfortunately you end up with a big gap. At the very front here, you're going to find the point, and it's basically just a couple of clips on here that come out, and it actually looks pretty good the way they've done it to make it all look detailed up under there. So looking on the side here, you're going to find like the area where I think ships can fly in. The hangar would be right here, I think. Other than that, you can't see much else in the side. There's no like detailing in here of anything. Heading up towards the bridge, you're just going to find this raised up bit with the, they use some parts here to raise it up, and it looks really good. They've got the proportions right, which I think is important with a MIDI scale set like this. The proportions are definitely right here. It's going to be the same on both sides. It's definitely like a mirrored set, so you have the same stuff on this side that you have on this side. And then moving up towards the bridge, I think it's a pretty nice bridge piece. I think it actually looks really good and pretty darn accurate for the size and pieces they were really able to use here to create this bridge. I think they've made great use of these parts here to make the balls on top, like I think they're radar. I don't really know what they do. And then around back of the bridge, you can just find some slopes to kind of shape it off on the back. So I think they've done a great job with the bridge. The engines in particular, I also like. I think they look pretty good for what they have to do with the size they have. I think they've done a great job building a really cool engine area. Again, this uses a pretty neat technique to stay on the back. I think it's like within, it would slide out. It's on like poles or what. I don't know. It's really hard to describe, but it's a really neat technique. If you have this set, you know what I'm talking about. They use some really, really cool building techniques for this thing. I really do enjoy building this set. If you look underneath, we're going to find a couple more panels, and they're pretty detailed underneath as well, even though you'd pretty much never see it if you didn't look underneath. But again, the panels look pretty nice underneath. Down here we have what is basically the stand for it, this black bar here, and that's basically just allowing it to rest at an angle like that instead of flopping like that. So it's a really neat idea that they had to put that there. I think it works really well. It keeps it completely level. Like, it looks great. You never even notice the bar down there. So I think that's a really neat idea to have that right there. It works pretty well. Then you have the loading dock, I believe, to pull in the Tantive 4. So if you have your micro scale Tantive 4, it can pull into dock right there. And it's just a pretty neat design overall under here. I just really like looking at the bottom. It looks so cool. And then you have this bit here, a little bit of extra detail with these black parts, and just really nice all around. This is the best way to describe it. It's a really nice set for a really nice price. for $40 you get a really nice display piece here, and I think that's what the idea of the MIDI scale sets were, but I don't think they originally sold well, and that's what led to the downfall, unfortunately, because they didn't have minifigs, and minifigs were probably a huge draw at the time, and they still are a huge draw, but for kids that were looking at the sets and buying them, I think now there's maybe more adult collectors that would be into this, and that would be totally a thing for LEGO they could bring back. With that being said, guys, I would definitely recommend picking this up. You can get it new for about $52 or used for about $40, which is the original retail price. If you guys did enjoy this review, please leave a like down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. If you have anything to say about this MIDI-SCALE Imperial Star Destroyer or the MIDI-SCALE line, or if you have any suggestions that LEGO could make for a MIDI-SCALE set if they brought back the MIDI-SCALE line, please leave in the comments section below. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.